Welcome to the short video on getting started with Cubase plugins and the Platform Nano. Please note it's advisable to have a D3 display unit installed. Compatibility mode. So there are two modes that you can use within Cubase. One is compatibility and the other is Cubase mode. Compatibility mode is probably the easiest to use, although not all the functions are available within that particular mode. But for now, we're going to use compatibility mode. So what we need to do is go to Studio, scroll down, go to More Options, Mackie Control, and then select Compatibility in the box on the top left-hand corner. Controlling plugins is relatively simple. Press Plugins, then Page Down, and the rotary controllers will control the first 4 parameters of the plugin. Here you can see it is affecting a change on screen. And if you want the final 4 parameters on that page, select the 5 to 8 button. And those 4 rotary controllers will control the final 4 parameters of that page. You can scroll up and down using page up and page down to get to the next page of parameters if there are any. Here we can see the EQ is being affected by the parameter changes that we've made on the Nano. And when it's time to go to our next plugin, press Plugins again, and then scroll through the iFX menu on the rotary controller on the left, and press Page Down again, and alter the parameters using the rotary controller knobs, again not forgetting the 5 to 8 button. And here we can see on screen the red compressor being affected by the changes made on the Nano. In order to use Sends, press the Dynamics FX auxiliary button on the bottom right. Page up and page down will allow you to navigate through the 3 parameters that you can choose when you are altering the send effects. The 4 rotary controllers will affect the changes within the first 4 FX slots, and once you press 5 to 8, the final 4, as there are 8 FX slots within Cubase. Here we see the level parameter being changed by the Nano in that first effect slot. So now we've finished with our FX sends, so we're going to press Pan again to get back to our default setting. So what I want to do now is I want to affect some changes within the parameters of my VST instrument. So now I'm going to load purple mode, and I'm going to select Instrument from the top left hand button and press Page Down. I can change the parameters using the rotary controllers, using Page Up and Page Down to navigate through the different pages of parameters. Unfortunately, sometimes there are VST instruments that won't work with external controllers such as the Nano, and some quite complicated instruments occasionally have a huge amount of parameters. Sometimes all of those parameters may not be available to external controllers such as the Platform Nano. EQ is relatively simple to use. Press the EQ button to bring up the parameters that you wish to use within EQ, and you can alter the parameters by twisting the rotary knobs and pushing the rotary knobs to turn the EQ sections on and off. Not forgetting the 5 to 8 button to access all of the controls. Cubase mode. Go to Studio, More Options, then Mackie Control, and select Cubase. Cubase mode is a little bit more fiddly to use, but you may prefer it. So let's get started with plugins. Press Plugins. Now press Lock and hold, pressing Page Forward to bring up the list of parameters associated with that plugin. Press Page Forward and back to navigate through the pages of parameters and the rotary controllers to alter the parameters. In order to use Sends, press the Dynamics FX auxiliary button, press page down, press and hold lock and page right and left in order to navigate through the pages of parameters, 3 in total, using the rotary controllers to change the values. EQ is exactly the same as compatibility mode. Press EQ, twist the rotary controllers to change the value and push to turn on and off. VST instruments, navigate to your VST instrument track, press the purple mode, the top left hand button, press and hold lock and page right, and this will load your parameters. Use page left and right to navigate through the parameters and the rotary controllers as before to change the values within. Here we can see that expression, dynamics and reverb are being changed within a very popular orchestral program by the platform Nano. We can control the Cubase channel strip as well. Let's go back to our default red mode and press Edit. This will load our channel settings. Press the Dynamics FX auxiliary button. We need to use rotary controllers 1 and 3, although in the case of 1 we can use either of these control knobs. We want to load a compressor in the channel strip, so we're going to navigate to Compressor, and here we can see where it's going to be loaded. There are 3 compressors we can choose from, but in this case we want to choose the Vintage compressor. So we're going to use the 3rd rotary controller to navigate to Vintage compressor. Once we reach Vintage compressor, we just leave it. It might take a few seconds to load. Now we want to load something else in our channel strip. What about the envelope shaper? We're going to press the Dynamics FX auxiliary button again and use the first button to navigate to Tools. Then we're going to use the 3rd rotary controller to navigate to envelope shaper. And here we see it's loaded. Now we want to change the parameters of our compressor and envelope shaper. So we're going to navigate back to our compressor using the first knob. We're going to press and hold page right, which loads up our parameters. And we can change these in the normal way with our rotary controllers. And here we see those changes being affected. Now we want to change the parameters in our envelope shaper. So we're going to navigate along to Tools, which is where the envelope shaper is housed, and then again pressing and holding lock and page right, loading up the parameters and using the rotary controllers to change them. And here we see the changes being affected on screen for the envelope shaper. My name is Steve from Icon Pro Audio. I hope this has been useful for you, and see you next time.